Okay.
All right, be all set to go.
First, item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'd like to,
Go ahead. A minute of silence, please, for one of the fire department's life members and former volunteer, as well as worked at the DPW for many years, Jim Rainey. Thank you.
any additions or changes to the minutes? Or the agenda, I should say. Okay, the meeting minutes of January 27th, 25.
Move to approve.
Moved by trustee Mark, seconded by trustee Jane. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Our abstract number 15 dated today in the amount of $83,200.49.
So moved.
Moved by Dan,
Second.
seconded by Jane. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
So Mike Jones is here with the codes annual summary. I don't know if anybody did you get people. We have a binder with a lot of information which will be in the office for your review. Maybe you can summarize it, and then if anybody has questions for him, answer the questions.
Yeah, good morning. 2024 road annual summary. Building permits 44. Building permit fees collected 9,331. Valuation of projects $3,637,090. COCCs issued 44. Open building permits from January 1st to 12/31/19. Complaints 45. Open 3. Complaint actions noted 193. Stop work orders. I have it here 0. There's probably a couple of them that was issued. Building inspection 120. Order inspections 97. Planning board applications, special use permits, subdivisions, reviews and fees 14 projects for $3,660. And ZBA application reviews and fees for reviews $625. Attached 23 annual summary with the other one just comparative 2 years together. We're hiring evaluation projects. Things seem to be costing more than last year. Building permits were a little bit lower than last year. In Manoa, 99 complaints. I had for transport. Over there as well.
Manila had 99 and we had 45. Is that because you have more building going on there or?
More complaints.
Or complaints can be anything related to zoning or to
Say
the
that
codes, right?
There's more residential building.
Yeah, there's more, I know there's more residential build. What's the nature of the complaints? Are they of new
It varies.
construction, I guess? Is it more of new construction?
There
With
is
Manoa?
more new construction over there with subdivisions, and a lot of people complain about, road traffic or.
Yeah. So whatever their complaint is, it's relative, it's attached to the new,
Yes.
it's an impact from the new construction.
But tall grass,
Oh.
they just like to.
Okay.
Any questions for codes officer? Okay, thank you. This book will be in the clerk's office for anybody to review. There's additional information and breakdowns about different things in here. But he's interested in looking at that. That's where it's kept anyway.
Did you ever finish up that place on Mechanic Street?
Still going. There's. They had the okay to cover the insulation, had the electrical plumbing down insulation, so turned into the interior finishing. They renewed their permit accordingly.
So did they have, I mean. I did hear from some neighbors that the neighbors actually said to me, it's time to complain again.
Yeah.
So this is how many years have they at this? How many years has the owner of the Mechanic Street house been renovating the house?
At least 3 years.
Okay,
They've been in here. Twice, I'll check. Verify the actual dates, but. More than. Could be 4.
so we talked about this last year. I believe it was literally this time of the year because it was brought up because we got your, your annual summary. And I recall, trustees, if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I recall that we wanted as a board to have a little bit more timeline associated with hard timeline associated with their progress. Does that make sense? Did we do that? And then did it slip like they did fine for the first 3 months or whatever it was, and then we all just got busy?
I think it was more to the fact of finishing the outside. Versus the inside.
So,
The outside was such a disarray.
yeah, right, it was, yep.
So the outside's pretty much done. Just. Doing the inside, you can't really see what's going on. Street or neighbors on the inside.
I remember setting up the timeline. I don't remember all the details of it.
I remember
Or
there-
whatever, so I'm not sure if it was for completion or just the exterior completion and the appearance from the neighbors on the street side of it.
Yeah, if I recall, I think you're correct. It was the exterior that
But I'm
they
not
close it up
100%
and take care
sure.
of what was going on in the yard a bit.
That's right.
To make it so the neighbors didn't have to do.
Right, it was just like a storage, construction storage yard. We're like, you gotta
Yeah,
clean this up.
That part of it.
Right.
Then did you issue a new building permit for Warren Street,
Orange Street.
the burned out house that they're starting to work on? I see now because they got a dumpster over there.
Asbestos abatement.
Uh-huh,
Let's see, what on that.
they are moving on it.
Yeah.
They had the dumpster there and they were working on the
Yeah, they're
weekend.
just clearing it out.
Yeah.
Right, for the abatement and demo, for the interior.
Uh-huh.
Got it.
They're leaving the structure, they're just redoing they're leaving the exterior of the structure. They're leaving the walls of the structure that are there already, they're just redoing the inside. Alright, thank you. DPW,
You have purchases you need permission for?
I do.
So, what they need initially is 250 tons of rock salt, American rock salt. With under the county contract at $50.28 a ton. So I don't know what that adds up to. We need 250 tons at $50 a ton,
$12,570.
$12,570. So I
motion,
make that motion.
I'll second.
moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Can we? Does that purchase have anything to do with you've got a New York State salt shortage update?
Yeah.
You want to share that? Yes, since we're on that topic.
So this has been going on since January, kind of right after we got that pretty bad lake effect storm. Obviously, Syracuse didn't get hit as much as a little bit up north and stuff, but American Rock Salt has no salt. So they're actively mining to fulfill orders, but they are at a minimum 3 weeks behind on their orders. So I've had conversations with Mike. We're down to about 30 tons of salt. And if you remember the last or 2 board meetings ago, I put an order in for 200 tons. We've had several snow events since then, so we've gone out and obviously done what we've had to do to keep the roads bare. But we are going to run out of salt by the end of next week if we get more snow events. So we will have to mix a little bit of sand in with our salt to try to prolong how long we have salt, especially if we can't get salt for 2 or 3 weeks. Onondaga County is trying to work with American Rock Salt to see if they can pump up the numbers and try to get salt out quicker. And if they can't commit to it, it's my understanding that Onondaga County will declare a state of emergency with salt, which would allow us to go outside of the contract, which we could anyway, but we'd have to bid it, get quotes. And the lowest price that we've seen for salt outside of the contract right now is like $110, $120 a ton. So you're talking about doubling the price of salt. So there is an issue with that. I know the governor came out the other night and said that superintendent should be doing a better job of stockpiling salt, but like I told Mike, our salt shed only holds 400 or 500 tons of salt. We've already gone through 700 tons this winter. You can't, through the MS4 permit, you can't store salt outside without it being covered. So we'd have nowhere to put the additional 700 tons of salt if we had to put in our entire order at once. So virtually every highway garage, DPW buys salt periodically throughout the winter to just replenish.
For the same reason, they can only store so much.
Correct. So that's kind of where we're running into this issue is there's just not enough salt that was mined pre-season to keep up with demand for in-season.
So regardless of your storage capacity, this year, there's a shortage issue in
Yep.
addition to that.
Yep.
So, what's the condition for the town of Manlius, and do municipalities share salt by any chance?
So the town of Manlius is in the same predicament we are. They actually switched to predominantly sand last week. And the village of Manlius is in a very similar, so they have a little bit more than us. We actually borrowed salt from them a few weeks ago. But they also get salt brine from us, so it
Yeah.
ended up working out either way. They would have owed us salt. The town of Clay's offered to give us a little bit of salt if we need
So you're working,
some.
you're working with,
So there is shared services through, close-knit DPWs and highway garages. But pretty much everybody, to my understanding, in Onondaga County is in the same boat, including the county itself.
so, my question is, what can we do to help you not find yourself with a bad storm event and no salt, right? Isn't that the worst, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, we have a small stockpile of sand, so we used to throw sand predominantly.
Yeah,
until
but we
went-
move on to salt because it's a better,
It burns it gets the roads down to black. Sand is just gonna give you traction. So the roads would still have snow on them. When we come through and plow, you just be able to drive with the sand.
how long have we been using rock salt?
20-ish.
Yeah,
Long
so-
time,
30
right?
years.
So I would
A
think
while.
we're all accustomed to, we're not accustomed, I mean,
Yeah,
it could work is what you're saying, we're not
Right,
without.
the
something.
sand is just like a last
I think so.
resort
We'll
as
do
far
it.
as what we're doing, and if they're going to, just to extend the amount of coverage, they will mix a little sand
Yeah.
into the salt, but it's
the
not gonna be
county
just one
does
or the
owe
other.
us salt as well for salt brine. So in addition to the 250, they also owe us 160 tons of salt.
Do they have it?
We
They got that
got,
order in last week early for us, so.
we got one
2 or 3
truck
weeks.
early last week. We were told they were supposed to have 2 trucks, so we're hoping that we get at least another 40 tons, roughly 40 tons come on a truck. And we only use 14 tons of salt when we go around.
That was my
So-
question.
It would get us through several runs.
Down, cleaning up and. We'll go to a plan, just to make that
Yeah,
we have left last.
There are some local communities that all they use is sand.
yeah,
Yes.
So
yeah, but
So-
we're,
it's not supposed to be good for the environment because it flows into in our situation, it flows into Oneida Lake. And
Right, we would have to do a
There's
lot
a
of
lot of
extra
issues.
cleanup in the spring. We'd have to sweep the roads more than we normally do. We'd have to suck every catch
Right.
basin in the village.
Right.
so this is my question. And we probably don't have to answer it today. It sounds like you're not there today, but, you know, we've got, in my opinion, a minimum of 2 months of potential
Yep.
significant snow event, right? And does it make sense for you to go out of contract? For us to strategize about going out of contract? I know you have bids and things like that, you know, we have steps we have to take. I don't know how long all those take, but can we strategize so that if you need to buy some rock salt, so you don't end up in that situation where there's none, and we have a big storm event,
Yep.
unpredictable storm event.
Yep.
I know it costs more, you shared that, but that additional cost may be less expense. I don't know, but it may be less expense than all the cleanup we have to do if we end up on sand for several events. I'm just
Yep.
thinking out loud, literally, how to help you strategize on your options.
We've thought about it, right, but at 250 tons, you're looking at, instead of 12,000, you're looking at
Right, but
well
can you,
over 24.
can
25.
can you order something less than that? Can you order 50 tons at this extra cost? As a way to just give you this little bit of security, I guess, or insurance that you don't end up without, so.
So I think what we should do is we should get through this week and or next week where we know we're good.
Yeah,
And within the next 2 weeks, we'll know what direction we need to take. And with the board's consensus, we will allow them to go out to bid for salt from a different source. And if it needs approval before our next meeting, we will do what we typically do and poll the board to get approval for the expenditure and the purchase. And that way, we're not waiting for another meeting and they're not waiting to
right,
run out all the way, but
Right.
if they see, let's see what the next week or two brings with the county's availability to pay us back, or Cicero's
Right.
ability to give us a little, or
Right.
somebody else's ability to give us a little bit.
Or-
See what the weather does in, this
Right.
week perhaps, or weekend and stuff, and, then know where we're going with it and what we have to do, so.
Mike and I already talked about this and I told him, in my opinion, it was okay to go outside of the contracts.
Yeah, this is actually a reflection, not necessarily of just you doing what you're doing, but this is a statewide problem. That we're dealing with right now.
Okay.
And I know the governor talked about it in Rochester last week. So this is one of those things where we're having the kind of winter that many of us remember from our youth.
Yeah.
And we're really in a position where it's not necessarily, any difficulty as far as what you've been doing. It's just that we're being all caught, everyone now, because we usually work on the law of averages in the states, or they're not pulling from a state contract, and the law of averages in this case is not average.
State DOT has a different contract, so they get salt through a different company
Yeah.
than most of the rest of the state gets it through American. They get it through a different vendor, so they don't have a shortage. The rest of the state.
And the other part is once we start going out of contract, the bidding process is pushing up everyone, because everyone's going in the same boat. So that's the other part that becomes very interesting. It could actually cost more when we get to it.
I know that American has stopped all sales to private companies, and it's predominantly just only municipal sales right now, so. So they're trying to catch up. The last I was told, they're trying to mine 24/7. They've added a third shift to try to catch up with it. You know, we talked about maybe going to a spray only situation for a little bit where we just use salt brine behind where we're plowing, but we need salt to make it. So
Yeah,
you're kind of in a catch-22 with that as well. So
The brine that we do have did help tremendously yesterday. It ate through a lot of what was on the road already, because there was some pretty good hard path. So brine did help.
good.
All right, thank you.
So we passed the motion, right, for the purchase of salt?
Karen, we voted on that, right? Did we vote on it? Buying the salt?
No.
We didn't vote on
officially, no, you
Okay, so we had,
didn't. Something you'd be considering, and I didn't know if you were.
no, I
gonna
mean,
come back to
the,
it.
of buying the 250 that he's got in here, we passed that motion, didn't we?
Yes, I'm sorry, for the $12,570.
Yeah, we passed
That
that.
part you did.
Okay.
Okay,
I thought you were talking about. going
No,
outside
so we're not
contract.
passing any kind of a motion to go outside the
No.
contract.
Right.
just the.
Right now, we are leaving that open for their discussion with us, and if need be, we'll hold the
Yeah.
board if we need to buy salt outside of the contract within the next few weeks or whatever,
Okay.
okay? All right,
All right, so the next purchase is 5,000 gallons of additive for the brine. Innovative Solutions, $1.62 a gallon, and it's a state contract. So that's my motion to approve that
it's
purchase.
just shy of $8,000. It's 7,800.
moved and. we seconded?
Second.
Yeah, okay, moved and seconded, any discussion, all in favor? All right. Okay,
And the last purchase motion is to replace tires on the 2020 Silverado Big Four at $815 a tire?
No,
or
that's total.
Total
That's
of
alignment.
$815.
Yep.
Okay, so move.
moved,
Second.
moved and seconded, any other discussion, all in favor? All right,
Aye.
okay.
And then we have tree quotes from Bartlett. Are these expenses that have already been approved and we're just reflecting on them?
No, so we got these quotes late Friday. We have been working with Bartlett. We've had some homeowner requests for just diagnosing trees and prune jobs. And then while he was out doing those, he noticed 2 hazard trees that he's added to this list. So believe all of them are prune jobs. The one that's an immediate need that needs to come down is 109 Green Street. That has split at it's a 3-liter tree, and it's split right down the middle of all 3,
Where is that on our street?
next to Danny Cooper's house, in
Okay.
between him and his neighbor. And then the rest are just prune jobs that have some dead in them. All of them go through some type of utility, so we're not allowed to touch them. The 2 on Margot are actually growing into the secondary wires, so those need to be addressed relatively soon. So
So you want a motion to,
For all of them. I'm gonna make a motion and I'm gonna read them all out loud.
okay,
I have some, the actual contracts here. if you need them.
I don't,
well, we got the numbers
I've
here,
got
I
the
mean, it's
numbers
mainly
here,
the numbers you wanted to
right,
say, right?
right.
Okay,
So I'm gonna make a motion to allow Bartlett to engage in the following pruning and or felling of trees for hazard purposes. The first one is 109 Green Street to take down the tree for hazard purposes at $1,680. 114 Green Street to prune the tree for $420. 118 Warner Street to prune the tree for $630. 121 Warner Street to prune the tree for $1,680. 127 Margot Street and 127 Margot Street to prune the tree at $840. And 123 Margot Street to prune the tree due to its hazardous condition right now for $420. Just for clarification, the other trees that are being pruned are not immediate hazards, but it's really to avoid future hazard. Okay, so that's my motion.
okay, moved by Jane, second,
I'll second.
by Mark, any other discussion on these particular items? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, I just, the crew's been hard at work. We talked the other day for at least, 30 consecutive work days, Monday through Friday. We have either plowed, salted or sprayed the roads. So, the crew's been busy and we just wanted to say thank you to them.
Yeah.
We'd like to thank them also, and I did have a discussion about overtime, and we're still good on that aspect of things within our budget too, just to bring everybody up to speed, because obviously they're going out a lot more than just their regular workday to, like we all know, with the snow and the conditions, so we're still within our realm of where we should be for
That's
overtime pay and things
pretty
like that,
amazing.
and budgeting wise or whatever that way, so.
Because it's been as we all say, old timey winter.
Anything else for DPW?
Do you want me to bring up about the generator?
Yeah, sorry. So we found out last week, we just got this quote from Curtis. They are the ones that do the inspections on all of the generators here at the municipal building, at the firehouse, down at our garage, and also at the senior center. They found some pretty major damages at the senior center generator. It needs a new radiator, battery, drive belt, a bunch of different hoses. We were actually told that their generator doesn't kick in at all. So the quote's for $10,000, but it's probably an immediate repair. If they lose power, they're not getting a backup generator.
Okay, so this proposal is from Curtis for $10,169.10 to repair the generator located at the senior center, and the senior center is designated as a heating and warming place for emergency situations, so it is imperative that we keep the generator working for those reasons.
Sure. Do we know where we're gonna, what?
Do you know
where
where
we're gonna
town
get
it's
it?
coming from?
Okay.
And don't know if it would be coming out of anything other than the 1623.
So we'll check into where it's coming from, but it's kind of gotta be done. We'll find the money somewhere.
So move.
Second.
Moving second, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Ryan, Mark, fine?
I'm good, sorry.
Stop.
Well, Bobby, give me another.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Thank you.
Fire department.
They should know.
You got a heck of an act to follow.
Don't worry, I see a surplus vehicle is gonna take care of everything.
Surplus vehicle, I want to surplus the 2013 old rescue truck we have.
So a motion to surplus the 2013.
So moved.
Rescue truck.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, or discussion? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. You're good with that?
Perfect. I have a part-time hire, Kayla Grisler. She's a paramedic, just moved from the Albany area. And we want to start her part-time with a potential full-time hire. She'll start at $24 an hour if approved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Know you're gonna need it for spelling. We have a contract for repair from Davis Ulmer. Do the work at our next. In May, I believe it is. It's $2,577. It's the 5-year inspections. So. That's for. John Hancock.
So move.
Okay,
Second.
moved and seconded. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor?
Okay. Want to buy 6 sets of turnout gear. It'll be split 3 this budget and 3 next budget. We kind of do that every year anyway. Total for the 6 sets on state contract. 2382. 2336. $23,362 on state contract for 6 sets of gear.
So wait, we're approving all 6 sets now, the purchase of all 6 sets now, but Your intention is to purchase 3 under this budget and then 3, the cost of the other 3 will go on the other budget. Okay.
I generally do that in in December, I try to buy 3 sets out of this budget, and then I try to get some just before. I don't like to buy them all at once, so I like to split it, we get a better deal this time because we do it with Manlius. So
Okay.
we'll get 12 sets this time, and we only buy 3 or 6 in however it works out, but.
But we get the full approval now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
And the last thing for me would be, we want to buy 20 lockers for $3,322 from Global Supply. They're going to be EMS lockers in the EMS bays.
Are they new? They're not replacements?
They're replacements for the wire racks that we have.
Oh,
They were trying to get rid of the wire racks and make lockers for them.
Yeah.
For the expanding EMS side we need to keep it cleaned up.
so moved.
Moves, second,
Second.
moves and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
Then just to follow up with our new endeavor with the town codes, we're all up and running and all the systems are go, so. I think Lori's already sent a bill,
Okay,
so.
we're billing them monthly, in case anybody doesn't, we might have had that discussion before, but just to refresh memories, so. Okay, anything else for the fire department, anyone? Okay. Next, we have been asked to pass a resolution regarding the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad New York State Scenic Byway nomination and corridor management plan adoption. I think you got this email, I can read it, or I can just enter it into the minutes. I don't know what your reference is. Everybody read it, right?
Send it into the minutes.
Yeah, everybody read it or knows about it, right, or whatever. So I would take a motion to adopt this resolution and allow me to sign it.
So
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Budget, just to again, touch on things for the budget. The workshops are set up for the dates of March 18th, 24, 26, and April 2nd. Everybody's good with those dates, I'm assuming. We publish it on the website and we will be including it in the newsletter that's going out for those dates and things. In addition to that, on February 20th, I've established a meeting, a special meeting of the board for 6:30 that evening. It's a Thursday evening on February 20th, and the assessor is going to come and make a presentation about how the assessment process is done and answer any questions. So we're planning on this room. Karen and I have had a discussion that if we get too many people, we might move upstairs. And she's working on, because I do want to have it at least recorded, even if not live streamed, but live streamed and recorded if possible, just for people that either want to see it from home, depending on what the weather might be that night, or people that can't attend or don't get here, at least they could see what was going on, hear the questions and be able to do that. So if I'm sure our equipment will work, but if not, we'll look into something different, at least to have it recorded that we could upload it onto the website afterwards for people. So it won't be interactive if it's on being live streamed, but it will be something they can watch at the time or afterwards. And at least they'll get maybe some of their questions answered. That's one of the things that comes up a lot when we discuss our budget is the idea of the tax rates being one, and then their assessments always go up every year, pretty much the last several years in particular. So there's always questions about that. So I thought it'd be easier to have them come and kind of try and explain it to everybody. Okay, so trustee reports. Start with Jane, because you had some things on here.
Yeah,
You have been working on.
if you all recall, we have it is our 5-year renewal timeframe. We started in 2024 for the hazard mitigation plan. Mike and I were working on that. We sent our draft in. There's a consultant working for the whole county. We're all part of the county plan. Anyway, we sent in our draft work, and then recently, in the last couple of weeks, they sent out the next version, I guess, of it all, and Mike and I had to go through it and correct where we could, where we need to, and update other things. So I don't know that this is our final version, but my fingers are crossed. It's a lot of work, but most importantly, I think is that I'd like us to have a copy of this draft in our office for all of you to look at and consider. I will email copies to all of you so you can look at it on your own screen, but I think it would be good to have a hard copy of our chapter. They call it an annex. So there's in the big plan, there's always part one, which is, I think, sets the context for all of this. I haven't looked at that piece, honestly. Mike and I pay attention
Good send
to
our-
the Fayetteville chapter, which they call the Fayetteville Annex. That's what we were looking at. So I'll work with Karen, get a hard copy that can be here in our office for everyone to look at. When it's final, that's where we will have copies, probably at the library and here and that, but I don't want to go through that effort right now until I know it's final. We just got an email that said, thank you for your, revisions.
Well,
We
we need
think
this."
this might be last. And that's what I said, well, I get it. They've got a lot of work. They got all of the suburbs, all the villages and towns they have to go through. They're Onondaga County area, so it's a lot of work. Yeah. So I just wanted to bring you up to date for that. The zoning update, the zoning committee has been meeting independent of the consultants. So the consultants put together a first draft of a proposed new zones and their location. So a new zoning map. Things are not being altered that dramatically, but that's my opinion, right? That's for something else. That's for all of you to decide when we get it out there. What we're doing right now is consultants took a first crack at it. This is all based off of what our community agreed to with our comprehensive plan. The zoning committee is reviewing it and making comments, questions, adjustments. We're going to meet with the consultants again, come up with something that we feel is a good beginning point for the bigger public, everybody to come in, look at and comment on. So we are really just still very much the beginning stages. The zoning committee met independently twice already. We're going to meet again tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully that will finish our work so we can get back together with the consultants to continue moving forward. The consultants are also in the process of putting together focus group meetings. So that will involve the general public as well. I don't know exactly when those meetings are going to be scheduled, end of February, beginning of March, somewhere around there. But in all situations, I'm working with Karen right now to get all of this information and all working data, publicly available working data on our website so that people can keep refreshing themselves as they wake up at 2 a.m. Let me check the website. But on a serious note, we want to get that up and going. We finally have some material put up there. So I think that's all to report on right now with this, with the update. Senior Center, as you know, last meeting, Arlene Pritzker was here seeking the board's input on her desire to seek more, or just to go after some grant monies for what she presented to us as an enclosure of the porch. Well, since that meeting, Lori Corset and I met and had a really great hour and a half meeting just to discuss what her thoughts are. So these are that. She's very curious and interested in finding space for exercise activity, group exercise class. That's really where her kind of focus is coming from. She is a member of the Fayetteville Senior Center board. It's confusing because we are the owners of the Fayetteville Senior Center facility and campus. And there is a Fayetteville Senior Center board, which is independent of the Village of Fayetteville. She's a member of the board. And she has heard that from she has several reasons to assume that an exercise class would be good for their programming. So that's why she's looking for the space. She agreed she understood, Lori and I wanted to bring her up to speed with where we were with the improvements to the cottage and all the grant funding that we're using for those improvements. So we did share that information, and she better understands why, in our opinion, she agreed with us that we really need to get through with those improvements. We've got to finalize the use of that grant money, finish those improvements before we can really consider whether an exercise class is a good use of that space. Because even more improvements would have to be made to accomplish that. So she understands that position. Also, we talked a lot about the functionality of the full senior center and the programming that they have there. And we explained then she learned that if the senior center wanted to have an exercise class, that we could actually have something here, that there could be an extension of the senior center through a periodic use of some of the space at the village hall, for example, the courtroom space. She didn't realize that was even an option. Why we were thinking that, all of this, why we had this discussion is because she does not know, she's not run an exercise program. She does not know how large, how frequent, and what the real needs will be. Because they haven't done it yet. They haven't even designed it yet. So instead of immediately designing a space for that, we're all thinking, why don't we get that program up and running first? In the meantime, we'll keep working on the cottage. Let's leave the porch as is. And let's maybe have a better understanding of the full functionality of the senior center and start considering multiple uses of same spaces. So they have Purnell Hall is their current dining room. And I have no idea, but the question is it used in full all day, all night? I know everyone has their thoughts on it, but before we get hard answers there, she needs to have a better understanding of the programming and the
Kind of the
space
needs of what
needs,
they
right?
need, yeah.
Right, so we're gonna continue working and communicating. I'm not gonna get involved. I don't think the board needs to get involved in terms of designing this exercise program. That's not our responsibility. That's theirs, but we can, while they're doing that, we can better understand the functionality and appropriate use of existing space in the larger senior center home.
And here or wherever.
And here,
Yeah.
and you know, cottage and all this. So I just wanted to bring y'all up to date on the outcome of that meeting. We didn't walk away, we walked away with, she's gonna take care of the programming. We will continue focusing on the facilities. I've had conversations with Mike, very kind of fluidly about us getting a better understanding of infrastructural needs for the senior facility, i.e. generators.
Right.
Furnaces, things like that, so that we can try to get ahead of them and not, I feel like we're always
Trying to catch
band-aiding
up.
something,
Yeah.
yeah,
Band-Aid
and
something.
not that we don't, you know, that's part of life, I guess, but it would be best for us to understand the size of our band-aids needed. So
So the generator at the senior center was probably one of the original generators that we put in anyways in the village. So of course, it's a lot of years old now, but I don't even know how many years old
We
that
bought damage.
or whatever.
Yeah, we got.
No,
did.
we got like a
We
deal
did.
on
We
it
got a good
because-
deal on it, that's why. And I understand, and it's been there a long time.
Yeah.
I mean.
But sometimes, you know, you think something's only a few years old, but it's a lot older when you really think about it. So
What's it cost for a new one?
yeah, so this is a,
$50,000 probably.
42,000.
40 or
40 or
50.
50,000 maybe, so.
But it was bought, at the time we bought it, I think we bought it for like 17,000, but it was
Right,
a damaged product.
yeah.
It was.
I mean, it was brand
functional-
new, but
It
damaged.
was a functional damage, a scratch and dent type of product. That's
Sounds
all.
like- all right, so I still think we should
Yeah.
With you on it, give a
Yeah,
handle of what
we
you
will do
think
that.
those to be issues at those.
I
senior center
mentioned
that-
it to-
So we can talk about it in our budget session.
Right, and I talked about it with Tony also
You did.
at one point,
Good.
so
All
we
right.
will follow up with
All
that before we get into our budget workshops, where we're gonna be looking at all this stuff again.
Yeah.
And
so-
or, and again, like we did last year during budget time, and we'll probably be doing it again this year, is to look at things that need to be done and how we can start funding them, as opposed to maybe saying, okay, we're gonna do this all this year. We're gonna try and come up with a plan of what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, and perhaps the time frame that we have to work with to get it done, as opposed to something like this inspection causing a expense that, we're not aware of or whatever until it's needed, until they do the inspection and stuff.
It's great. Thank you for that report. Really helps explain a lot of things and I appreciate it. So.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Or-
I don't think so. I had a conversation, one other item is the MS4 intermunicipal agreement. Can't say this,
IMA.
IMA. It is something that we as a village have participated in for at least 5 years, if not longer. We are again at a 5-year renewal. So I had a little bit of context just from prior, consulting work when I was working full-time. But I don't have the real context for the village, so I called David Hanny.
Mhm.
Who works with Barnum and Judas, who has been working with the county on all IMAs, on MS4s, and has also worked with the village. He gave me 20 minutes this morning, which was wonderful. He sent to me, I'll forward it on to all of you, a county resolution that I think gives us all more context. And I explained to him that we had a few new members on the board, including myself. We just need a little bit more background context on all of this. So he's gonna come to one of our meetings. It's gonna be one of the next two. He has to look at his schedule and I couldn't remember which meeting was 11 and which one was 6. So we'll figure it out. We'll know, but he wants to come here and give everybody
Presentation.
a little presentation about the entire program. In the meantime, I think our responsibilities as a board is we're supposed to adopt a new board resolution agreeing to entering into this IMA
County, yeah.
with the county. But I understand that all of us would like some context before we agree to that. And most likely all will agree, but we still need some context. So I'm in the process of working with Mike and David and getting all of us that kind of information before we have to sign off or even talk about it. So stay tuned.
Been a little busy, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
So that's all for right now.
Mark?
I don't know where to go or where to start, to be honest with you. Following Jane's tough, because I'm working with a bunch of things with Jane already, so I already know where I was.
Yeah, the zoning, Mark was very instrumental in some of the hard work we had to do. We still have ahead of us.
And we still have more ahead of us.
Yeah.
But the other part is, this past week I was at NICOM. And there's a whole bunch of information I brought back, and I'll discuss more information with the trustees along the way also. But there's two things that are really important to understand what's going on now, and one of them, in talking to all the municipalities, is the uncertainty of funding because of what's going on at the federal level at the moment, because it does affect our state funding as well at the same time for different programs. So it gets to be very difficult to know where we're going right now. So everyone's trying to figure it out. None of us have yet. And I'm going to say that. The other part is how exceptional this winter has been and will continue to be. This is not going to be a light winter for all of us anywhere, and everyone's going to be facing the same problems. And I think, Bobby's seeing that straight up front along the way as well. After that, I came back on a day and I went right in from there and went to the critical response committee where we're doing a tabletop exercise on a school chemical incident. And it really does point out how we have to really work very tightly and cooperatively with different organizations, not just in the county, but also our neighbors, et cetera, in order to make that all happen. It was actually held at the Emergency Management Office for the county, so it was very enlightening. It's the first time I've been in that facility. And that was very beneficial, I think, for me at least, and it helped, help me in order to help direct us where we're going also. Because prior to that, the week before, Mike and I attended a meeting with the fire departments for a conversation talking about EMS and where it's going in the future, and this is all totally related. It becomes very, very interesting long term. And long term isn't really more, when I'm talking long term, I'm talking about 5 years out where everything starts to happen very fast, and it's happening very fast right around us, whether we know it or not right now. And that's the other part that goes along with it. So I just want to put those out there. I'm happy to talk to the trustees and supply more information. I supplied Karen and Lori with a variety of information that I picked up also for us. The variety of things we talked about. Karen, I talked to her about the new requirements on websites for municipalities that the state has passed, et cetera. We've gone through it. I think we're in pretty good shape. Karen and I talked about that. There are a variety of other things for Lori we talked about, and some of the problems we're having with funding also that's important to know. And I mean, right now it's a matter of trying to make sure where we are before we put our foot out there.
What are some of the funding issues? Is it stemming from the fact that federal funds flow down to state and the state then flows it down to towns, villages, counties, and
Yes,
the federal system is saying
the
we're
federal
turning
system
off
is,
spigots.
yeah, and we're not sure where we are with that at this point in time, where the spigots are turned off because some of it's being challenged in the courts. I've been following what Congressman Mannion's been talking about also with this. And one of the other things that goes on is there are a variety of funds that are blended when we do projects. I mean, we do
Yeah.
FEMA projects for God's sakes, we have a variety of, we think about it being for like the fire department and EMS, but we have other programs that are also federal money mixed with state money in different situations when we do them also. Many of that is bridges, highways, et cetera. And so we have to be a little bit careful. The good news actually out of this, when anybody knows it or not, is actually the governor is trying to keep AIM money where it is and also trying to keep CHIPS in place with no changes on it from last year. Last year it was an increase, try to keep that there, so that's good. The real problem, of course, is that we still don't know where we're going to end up with the Senate, the Assembly, and the state budget, where everything is going to come out. I actually have a sneaking suspicion this one's going to be a fairly straightforward budget, and may in fact be ready on April 1st, which I haven't seen in a while, but it's not bad. There's always the hope, exactly. So it's been very interesting. So anyway, I'll leave it there. There's much more to talk about, and I could talk all day, so I'll stop.
All right, thank you. Casey? Good? Dan? Ed?
Well, just a comment.
Okay.
Just make sure that the village office knows the plans with the skating.
Yep.
Each
Oh, yeah,
day,
they do.
each day. Okay,
They do.
yeah, I just want to check.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
On that note, the pond is closed for right now.
Yeah.
We got a
It's
good
been-
layer of slush. The up and down kills it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I've been there. and
We had
it's-
solid 10 inches of ice.
I understand where
week
you are.
ago,
We
but-
can't do anything.
Yeah, just food for thought. Polly and I talked about this last week. With the up and down fluctuation of temperature that we get now more than ever, it might not be a bad idea to look at buying a rink and putting it in Beard Park. We'll still clear the pond when we have good ice. But it's a lot easier to maintain and it's a lot easier for people to skate on a pre-built rink with the idea that the pond would still be open and cleared when we get good ice, but it's harder for us to get good ice consistently. Just food for thought.
I said the Little League field,
He did say.
out of the way.
Bob, do you have any numbers on that to do something like that for us?
I can certainly get them for the next meeting.
If you could, I'd
Yeah.
appreciate it very much.
Yep.
They make
Thank you.
kits.
Yeah.
Huh?
They make kits.
I know they do.
Yeah.
And it's actually relatively inexpensive in comparison. I know it is.
And he
And
said
it's
they'd
also
be
for the
willing to
safety
come
of,
down and flood it so that we get water in it right away and, we could go buy shovels or whatever from
The
eight.
town had one for a while, or the town center, the Or like
Town
had
center
one
had-
for a
the Village
while.
of Manly's had one for a year, maybe.
Yeah.
or 2 years.
May
Um,
wanna look-
Interesting why neither one continued it.
I was told that when it fluctuates and melts, it really melts, like there's only 10 inches of water.
Yeah.
So there's nothing, it's just gone, it's just wet,
Oh, no.
Right,
and then it takes.
and I thought there was something with the longevity of it also. But we can look at all those things. I mean, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying like we should look at all the aspects of.
it was just an alternative so that
Yeah.
if the pond only had, cause you know, I also talked to Mark Matt about this last week on Friday, that even though we have signs that go up that say no skating,
They still go on there.
they'll still go out and skate. Even at 2 inches, you can really skate, but it's not super safe.
Right,
You know,
yeah,
floors,
no, I think it's a good idea to look at it, see what all the rim.
8 inches is really meant for being on the pond with.
the machinery.
Right, so I think
So you had to get
if we're
those-
gonna start looking at costs like that, I'm gonna
Wasn't it
really
the
throw in a
biggest
wrinkle
meeting?
and throw in the cost of us
Lord.
hiring a contractor to focus solely on the pond. There are some things someone can do if that's their only job, right? To take steps so that we don't end up with just mush, right? Like if you can get out there and clean as it falls. I
Yeah.
think Twitchell used to do that, because I used to watch him while it was snowing like crazy.
Yeah,
He'd
there's
be
been
out there
different people over
cleaning.
the years that did it
Yeah.
out,
I do
you know,
know now that if private contractor does work for the village,
Yeah,
it has to be state rate. They have to be paid prevailing wages.
So,
So
but
the
also,
cost would go up.
okay,
Just
that's fine. But the real question in my mind is, do they still have to follow the 8 inch requirement?
they would, because they're filed, it would be on behalf of the village, so it's still probably all under.
No,
No,
it's flood, it'd be a hard base underneath it, it'd only be,
just on the.
no, the,
oh, the pond itself.
Yes.
I thought you meant
Pond.
a separate ring.
no, the pond
no, I'm talking
itself,
about-
Oh, yeah,
the
the
pond.
pond itself, yeah, they still have to do our OSHA policy.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the question, because if you still, I mean, that is the issue. I mean, there's two issues here. One is we have to wait until it thickens and it's hard enough, which is a good safety security issue for us all, liability wise. But the second issue is that once it gets there, we still get, I mean, we haven't had this kind of continuous snowfall in some time. But when you do, you gotta get out there and get it off, right? Otherwise, it acts like an insulator. If we had a person who is independently in charge of that. And so you guys didn't have to worry about it, because you're, as I keep telling my favorite ice skater, streets come first, sweetie.
We'd save on salt, that's for sure.
Um,
but
if
the only,
nothing else-
but the only problem is that they have to comply with that. That
But what's-
depth of the ice or whatever, so
What's-
once they cleared it, and like, they could maybe maintain it
yes,
a
the
little bit
maintenance of
better.
it could be.
To
might
make
keep
that
it-
ice last longer because of the snow and.
The
stuff.
bottom line is, I watched them do this, not you guys. I've watched my family skate for a long time, and if they get 4 weeks out of the year, right? It's not a long experience. It is short-lived. It starts somewhere mid-January and it's somewhere, if they can skate in March, everybody's out there taking photographs.
Yeah.
You know? Anyway, if we're gonna look into costs and options, I would say let's look at them all.
And while we're looking at that, if we're using the Little League field, or are you talking about the parking lot?
We built a road down to the second baseball field, and there's a small parking lot, probably the size of a room, that we talked about just throwing it down there. People could park down at the daycare and walk down, but we also talked about Beard Pond too, because it's right there.
And you
Just
don't,
all
Just
things
the
to
impact
think
on,
about.
the lawn. We looked
Yeah,
at Beard
yeah,
Pond.
we wouldn't, oh, yeah, the actual lawn itself, yeah.
yeah, but there's a lot of things to look into with it, but that's all good points to bring up, because those are all things we should be looking at.
Maine actually has a permanent one at their little league field. It's open almost all winter, as long as the weather operates as a freezing temperature.
Swing in and take a picture of that, just so the reference for them.
I know they hire a local guy, he used to be the hockey coach, and he actually takes care of that.
Who's this?
Casanova.
Yes, does?
The only problem
With
with
the
that
kid supply?
second parking lot is it's a long ways to walk in
They
there,
were talking
We'd have to plow it too, we don't plow it right now.
right? And then there's no lights
So
in
they
there
have-
for nighttime, right?
So Cas, builds a rink and then they hire someone to care for it?
Nope, they actually have a separate rink they can flood on the side just for ice skating. They allow hockey in one rink and if there wasn't.
I don't know what Danny has to say, but when it's open, man, it's used.
But yeah, we have to kick people off all the time just to be able to go out and clean it, so.
Yeah, it's used
Yeah.
and it's really. I mean, I don't know, the excitement and the kids that are on there, it's just palpable.
Right.
I'm like trying to get off because I'm past skating.
Yeah, the idea wasn't to, replace the pond, it was to still
Yeah,
go out and clear the pond, but offer something that they could use more often
Yeah,
than,
I
so.
think it's a great idea. Let's see how we.
So they have one in Syracuse, the Clinton Square, of course, they have one different places, whatever, I don't know if
Right.
that's
Square.
natural or if that's that
Don't
fountain
make
area or
everybody,
whatever.
don't
but-
make everybody skate in a circle.
But just saying that.
Right.
Okay, whatever. Okay, all right.
Nice.
Thank you. Anybody in the audience have anything? Okay. So the mayor's turkey dinner is coming up on Sunday, March 2nd. At the senior center, it'll be a drive-through takeout dinner only, not a sit-down inside dinner, so. Anybody that wants to help is welcome to let me know.
Well, when you say help, can you please explain for all of us? I'm sure there's help.
So we
for
have to go
Jay.
get the turkeys.
Yeah,
We have to go capture them first. And defeather them.
That's called plucking, by the way.
So usually the day before, there's a little bit of prep work to
Yeah.
do, and the day of, like people to like.
Yeah.
Load their, dish up the to-go containers.
Oh,
Janet was arranging for some runners to go back and forth with the food to the cars as they drive through. So they do their Friday night dinners at the senior center as to-go dinners only. So they have a system kind of in place that they utilize or whatever, so. There's some work on Sunday, which is the second. As far as like getting stuff ready and dishing, it, certain things are not done or portioned out till Sunday morning. And then Sunday afternoon, I don't remember what time we said to pick them up, 4 o'clock or 3,
Between 4 and 6.
maybe between 4 and 6 is the
Oh, that's late.
pickup or whatever.
Well, dinner time.
We did it like,
Before we did it.
we did
earlier.
it 4 to 5 last year though.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do they,
I was thinking.
Because that's the time they do it for the senior center, so that's the
Yeah,
kind of the
okay.
time people
I
have.
was
What they-
thinking,
Seniors have in their mind, everybody else will just go whenever, I'm assuming.
Seated.
When it was seated, we used to have
yeah,
two
the
dinners,
seating,
2 times. of
Noon and
people
then
coming
2.
in to sit, right?
so it's not till then, huh? Makes it easier.
So what time on Saturday would you be doing the preps?
Usually in the morning, like cooking pies
Like 8 to 1,
and,
something
yeah,
like that?
something like that.
And is
give
any
or
prep
take.
work done on Sunday?
So a little bit of that is carried over to Sunday, so like we baked, in the past, say, as an example, we baked the pies on a Saturday. Somebody comes in and cuts them and puts them in the to-go containers on Sunday.
okay,
Rolls, we get buy them by the dozens or whatever, so taking a roll and putting it in a little plastic bag. That kind of stuff gets done. Last year, we did all the dinner just inclusive in one container. We used to separate gravy out and all that stuff. We don't do that anymore. They just get it all and they don't like it, they can wash it off or whatever. They gotta do it. I don't know.
I think.
On Sunday, what time? would you
Marketing
want people
genius.
to-
Well, from the person that as long as somebody's cooking it, serving it, cleaning up after it, I'll take anything, however you want to give it to me.
I think, yeah.
That's my attitude on my portions of this too, so it's okay.
Are you gonna be there both days or is Janet, like what time would the building?
Yeah,
be
he'd be
open?
there. Usually like, it'll be sometime like middle of the morning, say on Sunday. Because we gotta get stuff out, heat it up and do stuff.
Right, I didn't know it's
Ready,
right, it's
so.
like 11 to 2, 11 to 1, just trying to give everybody. an
Yeah,
idea.
somewhere's in that ballpark or whatever. If somebody wants to come earlier, we can arrange it or
that
later
was
or
my final
whatever.
question.
you
So
know.
you need information from us in advance if we're gonna volunteer for.
Kind of, but I think I will
It's
just
helpful
let it
to
get
know.
a little bit closer and I'll probably just text all of you and see
Okay.
what you wanna do. And if you're at home or available and wanna help out, that's fine. If you're not.
I
that's
think
okay,
Janet
too.
Callahan had a lot of suggestions for what we did last couple of years wrong.
Okay.
I'll check with
I'll-
Janet Best if she has a timeline and I will email everybody.
Well, she doesn't do
She
that
doesn't do
stuff,
it.
though.
She doesn't
She
do it.
doesn't have a
Who-
timeline.
who- orchestrates it as
Oh,
far as the board.
I do.
Okay.
So I will
That's the
get,
mayor's turkey.
we'll say, I have to go meet
You
with
did,
Janet
but I
Best
could never
and
tell who
and
was
then
doing it
I
on
will
that
talk
side.
about that stuff or whatever. And then I will get information for you
Wednesdays.
over the next week or so. So that you're got a little bit of time to think about it. How's that?
And this
There
is,
you
a-
go. Now you know what I was getting.
this is a fundraiser for the senior center?
It
Yeah,
is.
so it's the mayor's dinner that was started by Mayor McIntosh all those years ago. And so I either buy the stuff or get stuff donated. And so all the product, other than like the to-go containers, so the senior center provides like to-go containers, the facility, all that kind of stuff a little bit. And then we ask for some corporate sponsorships and then we sell the dinners. I think they're 15.
Are we doing
What,
that?
I
We
think
haven't discussed.
I thought she put it in her newsletter that way.
It's the senior center newsletter.
I think it was $15 a piece or 2 for 25, something like that. I think that's in the newsletter already, so. I
And you
think
have
that's what we're
to
doing.
buy them, you have to sign up to get it before the day of.
Well, she's saying you, Janet Best this year is saying you don't have to, but it's good to sign up. We're gonna prepare like 300 dinners like we have been doing. And then it's good to sign up if you know that you want one for sure. And then otherwise it's can't or whatever. But like the Firemen's Association has always made a donation, like been one of our corporate type sponsors. Kinsella's Quarry, say different ones, Ted's office, they're just donated, things like that. Sometimes those people come and get dinners, sometimes they just make the donation and we either give it to seniors that can't afford it or use it as a donation. All the money that comes in goes to the senior center, so, and all the money that comes in is basically profit for the senior center outside of the little bit of money they spend for like to-go containers or their time and effort, stuff like that. Their cook helps a little bit in the kitchen and it keeps us on track with what we're supposed to be doing. I got caught last year.
Yes, you did.
I told somebody it was good enough and he said, no, it wasn't.
Just gonna mix the gravy and the potatoes and all that together.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. People, I don't know. But it's a good fundraiser and it made just a lot of money for the, well, you know, significant amount of money for the senior center, so that's good. Okay, anybody else have anything? Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.